Yep. This is basically impossible. You do have an address there. Let's see, NTR CentOS kernel exe plus 3 FE 580 SOD. Hi, my name is Igor. I am independent advisor. I have 12 Microsoft MVP awards. It's a pleasure for me to help others. Please run check disk. There's no way this is a power issue. I have too much power. I think it's like 800 or something. There's just no way I'm drawing that much. And this one, this is AMD. Here it's complaining about AMD. Here as well, AMD's drivers. But here it says Win32K base, and but both of these are like, this is just Windows stuff. Like, I don't know. So a lot of people in this random thread are saying that if they reinstall Windows and don't update, then this doesn't happen. What do my restore points look like? Windows update. I mean, that's I want to go before the Windows update. Unfortunately, I think that is wrong. APC index mismatch is an error when waking from sleep. That's not what we're getting. We're getting system service exception. Timestamp, that's not relevant. Oh, right. Path of Exile 2 stream soon. Maybe we'll restream that and crash. Bug check string is the useful part shown by blue screen view. Zero x 0000003b blue screen. Zero x 0000003b is usually a graphics driver. Other possibilities include, but are not limited to, antivirus, anti-spyware, security programs, and even memory. So I have an XT, no, RX 0,000 or 7600 XT. If it's just happening in that game, check with the developer. Yeah. He's playing Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah, go check with BioWare from like 2003 or whatever. They can make your computer stop blue screening. Contact the developer for a patch. Fucking idiot. All of these things are so useless. They're like installing new versions of DirectX and shit. Like, oh my god. But I think this is... I'm glad Indio didn't get this card, because I think this AMD card is actually trash. Unfortunately. But it's still weird. Turn off device driver automatic installation. $24.61. What am I using? 24.51. Well, I guess I can try doing like a clean install of just that, but so stupid. There's nothing worse than when GPU developers or GPU companies release shitty drivers. It just ruins like half a year. Like, literally half a year gets ruined. It's just gonna randomly crash for no reason. And it's like untraceable. So fucking dumb. Alright. The annoying part is that I think it's triggered by OBS, not by doing anything else. Like it's OBS that's triggering it. How dare you just come in here, just assault me like this? What are you doing, Sicario? That's good. Very good that you did that. Now everybody will find my stream. And then my computer will crash again, and then it won't matter. Don't understand. Let's check. Let's check the OBS log files real quick. So this was from just now. Right? No, this is from right now. This is the one. Failed to set cookie property on document. Uncaught security error. That's okay. That's not even, what is that? Streamlabs. I don't know why there isn't a way to just like delete a source everywhere. Delete turbo super delete source. Remove. Is everything so bad? Okay, now that's gone. That is destroyed. Please never give me another error. But this has nothing to do with what is happening, and it's not generating an error there. What about crash report? 21/2002. CR browser main crashed. But this is just because my entire computer crashed. That's not helpful at all. All right. So all I wanted to do down here now is here, we're checking draw tile grid, right? Draw tile grid comes from here. And Tile grid color. It is unfortunate because I think I'm gonna have to do it manually. If draw tile grid well, maybe we can do something like this. Float 3 RGB temp equals float 3, and then we type if draw tile grid and seven equals highlight compute grid highlights static. Right, well, let's go here again. So I don't know if I'm stupid. I might be stupid. But maybe not. Yellow is 4, so red is 2. So what we need to do is if draw tile grid and 7 equals 2, then 1 else 0. And then we're gonna do the same thing here 3 times there. And then this is gonna be green, so that's 3. And this is 4. Oh, this doesn't work. unfortunately. Because yellow is a blend. Actually, it can work. So here we're checking if this is 3, right? And if it is green, then this is set to 1. What is green? Green is yellow and blue. So then here we're gonna do if it's 4 in the blue channel, we're gonna set it to 4. No. Here it's gonna say 1. So it's gonna check, is this blue? And if it is blue, it gets set to 1, right? Otherwise it gets set to 0. But what we're gonna say is, if it is blue, it gets set to 1. Otherwise, if it is green, it gets set to 1. Otherwise, it gets set to 0. That should work. And that should also mean that I should be able to just if tile pixel point is less than 2. Right. It's checking. Right, okay. So what we can do is we can put this here. Here. Because what this does is it's checking if this is the outline. And then here it's just checking which edge are we at. So if we do that, then instead of setting this like so, we're going to set color.rgb equals that doesn't make sense either. I don't know how that would work. Like that could work. If draw tile grid. fuck am I checking here? And why? Yeah, that's a good question. Why? Wait, what just happened? Okay. Let's see if that works. I would be surprised if that works. I mean, it should work, but I'm not sure how it handles the overflow on the color channels. No, it's just move. I don't think it's working at all now. Yeah, we're not getting any outlining, are we? A little bit hard to tell because of the background. Because the background is kind of outlined. But I would say it's actually outlined. Yes, that would be true, such a cringe. But I don't know if the outline is working quite correctly. Kind of think it is. But it's only like 15% stronger or something. It looked a lot stronger before. However, it is broken here. Oh no, I think it works on the edges too, but it was stronger before, wasn't it? So if we do this and let's do this. That should now draw it differently at the top right and the top and the bottom left. You know, it's definitely different. As you can see here, right? Like the right side, very, very clear, while the top side is very dim. So I think the value is just looping. We're gonna have to use some kind of max function here. So RGB equals max RGB temp and this. Because all that's happening is that I'm adding 0 or I'm adding 1 and it's literally just looping around back to the same value, I imagine. And that was about what I expected. It was either that or it would just cap out, right, and just stop. But apparently that is not the way. I think Max is better programming anyway, instead of relying on overflow functions. I mean, it works down here, but otherwise it doesn't work. What? Okay, it works here because I forgot to set B to 1. Does it need to be like this? Or something? Either that or the bitwise is wrong and I'm like grabbing more than I should be. Generate bitwise grid. So colors 4. But that's what I'm doing here. Like I'm setting ground target color to be 4. Targeting is 4. And here we're pushing this 8 because the first 7 is color selection. But here I am pushing 1.7. No. Okay, so if I have 1 and we shift it 7 to the left, that becomes the 8th bit. So that's not, we're not setting 7 there, we're setting 8. Apparently I need to set a pathfinding mode here too, I didn't see that. Strange that it even works. But here I'm setting this, I'm shifting it 4 to 5. But yeah, that's fine, because I'm using the first 4 bits for color. So this is still like 7, that is the first 4 bits. Right? No, 7 is the first 3 bits. So I'm using the first 3 bits. So 1 point pushed to 3, that would still be like that one is open for use. Yeah, no, it... Alright, let's try that. Let's just try that. I don't think it should matter, because or maybe it does. No. So why does that not work? What if we just try something like this? Just set that straight to RGB temp only. And we can leave that one. Just doing that. Alright. The stream starts now.
Do I always get stuck with these rookies?
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Hmm?
Am I logged in? Yes. Bathroom, and then we'll watch the Path of Exile 2 stream.
A mean cleave, eh, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren? Captain? It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain! On my back, blade up!
Come on. I'm ready. I'm ready. It's a man.
No, it's not.
Oh boy. Actually, I did want to see if it worked.
Run.
Or what it did, rather. No, it's returning just zeros only. Very strange.
Captain!
On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
What is it?
Get the body.
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him!
I played like 2,000 hours of Path of Exile 1, and I've played through the story and read all of the dialogue. I don't know what the story is in Path of Exile 1 at all. Kitava is unleashed for no reason, and then you fuck him up. And then that's it. pretty much.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this livestream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death
This is a new one.
are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another.
I'm most interested in seeing which classes they actually end up
Life
with.
must be protected at all costs. Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Being able to walk while channeling is actually pretty cool. That's a pretty big change for channeling gameplay.
The end, and I will do what I must.
Channeling gameplay has always been really stupid in RPGs. You're just gonna stand there and just shoot a beam. It's terrible.
Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Okay, so that's why you get the hands for watching the stream. Because
Now, as you just saw,
Okay.
even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since
Am I
we
getting my
announced
thing?
PoE2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces.
yes,
It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access. Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the end game. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading.
Blech.
Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Yeah, that's 6 classes currently. It's supposed to be 12?
And this
I
is
think-
where you find yourself at the start of PoE2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren plains
Stream delayed.
of the Vesteri Desert and delve into the jungle
Oh.
ruins of Utsal,
Right.
an ancient Val city. There are challenging
Oh my god. Oh my god, come on.
hidden ruins, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same.
Fucking New Zealand
Falls
internet.
to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds,
142,000
and uncover lost
viewers.
civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different...
Let's refresh. Was that a bad idea?
menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing...
Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Stream delayed. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Literally nothing goes right. Ever. My computer is exploding every single game that's coming out. It's just shit. Path of Exile 2 is like the only game I'm looking forward to. It's delayed 600 times. Literally 600 times. You can't even stream it.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
Precious. Those
Power
They're
and
skipping
tends
in
to
the video.
There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2.
No, where were we?
Explore
No,
the dark
fuck.
forests of Ogham, traverse the barren plains of the Terrestria desert, and delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient
Was this
Val
even
city.
where we were?
There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same. It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, Early Access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to
Stormware,
engrave a
Hand
new
of
one.
Chayula.
Since this is a level 7 skill gem,
Mantra of
even if you pick a new
Destruction,
skill, it will
Whirling
immediately be
Assault.
level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new. The monk primarily uses the quarterstaff. There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning, ice, and wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3. Let's try Killing Palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use Killing Palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, doing
Hate the
damage
bell,
to
it's so
all enemies
stupid.
around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes.
Aesthetically
Monk
atrocious.
also has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles.
The amount of damage you take
There are
is
21
so
active
staggering.
skills
I'm
for
so
the
worried.
skills, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By in-game, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
Like it almost looks more spiky
Now,
than
if you like a
Path
style
Exile
of
1.
melee that's a little slower but hits much harder, then the warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor. Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time.
You have
Among
no
the
idea
skill
how
options for maces,
big
you'll
that
find
is.
a variety of slams,
For
fire
melee.
attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam
Being
the
able
ground,
to cancel
ending the fight
attack
with
is
lines of
insane.
fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage.
The minimum attack speed to be
The
somewhat
warrior can
safe
also
in
use
PoE
war cries,
2
which
or
can empower
PoE
your
1
next
is
skill.
like 4 attacks per
Seismic
second,
Cry, for example,
which
will
is
double any
insane.
slams from the next attack. The Stampede counts
You
as a
should
slam,
never
so
do
you
4
double that
attacks
for
per
even
second.
more craziness.
Ever.
If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells. While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable.
Shield broken.
Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way. Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills, like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them. While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front. The warrior also has access to totems. Some
Bros,
totems have built-in
hate
abilities
totems.
like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a
In
skill
1,
that other skills
you
are
were pretty
weak
much
to. I can
forced
take a
to
slam
have
like
totems,
Sunder
and it was
and
so
summon it into my
it's
Ancestral
so
Warrior
stupid.
Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on. Time for
The
some
big hammer
range
attack
attacks.
worries me a
The
lot.
ranger is primarily
It's
about
one of
the
my
bow,
biggest
but
worries.
we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you'll have a lot of mobility in combat. Bow skills have a variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants. With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes. You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different.
Yeah,
In PoE 2,
That's
you have
good.
one dedicated life flask slot
That's good.
and one mana flask slot.
it's fantastic.
Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble
Equipable,
with
right?
getting frozen? Equip a Thawing Charm.
Okay.
When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. You can gain more slots for charms by
I think
upgrading
that's
your
good.
belt. The
PoE 1's
mercenary
flask
wields a
system is
crossbow
one of the
with
worst things
different
about the game.
ammo types,
It has
offering
literally the worst flask
versatility,
system
power,
out of
and
any game
mobility.
ever made.
All classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled
It is
with
so
WASD,
atrocious.
which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo types, so long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect. Use Glacial Bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to Fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage. If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a backseat and let your minions do the work, then the Witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her, while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies. Occult skills are some of the most varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a Spirit Gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell. For the Witch though, we'll want to be using our Spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one. Skeletal warriors are cheap but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends.
That's a
And if you
lot
want
of
an even
spirit.
bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you'll be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its
Oh,
path.
cute slime girl.
The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. The elemental skills have everything you might expect.
This is
and
my
more.
game, I programmed this.
Fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line
That's
that
live,
not
by
only
the way.
damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited. There are 25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of Early Access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come.
They
There's
haven't
one more
even
important thing
added
to
swords
mention
to the
about
game yet.
skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. For example, a Poison Ranger might want to try out using Occult Curses to increase her poison damage, or a Monk might want to trigger Elemental Ice Walls to use with his Glacial Cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet. So let's talk about support gems. Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally when you fire a grenade it'll look like this.
Many viewers.
But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills in your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high velocity round skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost
No, it's a
vortexes,
crossbow,
break
but it
people's armor, make
functionally
enemies
works
explode,
exactly
make
like an
skills
assault
repeat,
rifle with a grenade launcher.
make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree.
The worst thing about
Yes,
Path of
it's
Exile.
huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared.
That's not why it's
There are
bad,
lots
though.
of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree.
It's bad because it's
Each class
anti-depth.
starts at a different location,
It's
but they
bad
all
game
share
design.
the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes
they've
will be
toned that
useful
down
for
a
your
lot,
character in some
so
way. But if you do happen to
they've
make a
pretty
choice
much
you
solved
regret,
that problem.
you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold. Now, the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield 2-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them.
I play
You can use
SSF,
a
so I
2-hand
don't
mace
care,
with a
but
shield, or even dual wield them.
we'll see, I suppose.
Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the Sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization.
That's the only thing that fixes the passive tree, because
Or you can
otherwise
switch between
it's just
one
not
hand and a
it's just
two-hand
not good.
setup in order to be able to block boss attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace. Or perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like, but creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are
Meaning
lots
the
of
boss
other
is not
permanent
optional,
boosts
by the way.
available from the campaign too. On the map, you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent
I wonder how
additional
long
spirit.
this stream is.
The permanent buffs you gain from Spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now, we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique. One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade
Having
the
to
items
kill
you
optional
find,
bosses and
you
stuff.
can do that with currency items.
It's the same now, so
All
it
of
won't be any
Transmutation
difference.
will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a 3rd mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods. One of the things we think is really important is to make
Like
these
once you get
options
to Act
available
6,
to use
most
as
of the
you play.
bosses are
All
optional
the
after
items
that.
that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile.
But you have to
1,
kill them because
so
they
that you
give
can
skill
use them
points.
throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor.
Itemization in PoE 1 is so bad. It is so bad. I really hope they fix it.
Another important area of crafting items
And
in
it sounds
PoE2
like they
is
have.
sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and 2-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and 1-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills.
The
Take advantage
items
of
also
the
seem a
system to
lot more
experiment
interesting
with
than
your
just the
tree
base
and
items,
rework it as required.
which
The
is
other
a
thing
good
you might
thing.
want to use gold for is the
Like
currency
bases in
exchange.
PoE 1 was
This allows
super
you to
bad.
exchange currency items with other players on an open market, in exchange for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
But I don't care because I don't trade.
Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't: uniques. They are especially rare,
Ew,
each
I
with
hate
a handcrafted
uniques.
set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character. Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes. And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try
No,
to
they're
make
not.
sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
The problem is that like 5% of the unique
The last
item
character
pool is
progression system
actually
that you can
useful.
do during the campaign is
Like
Ascension.
even if you build around it.
Starting in Act 2, you will come
Almost
across
every
Ascension
single
trials,
unique is
tests
trash
that you
dog
must
shit
complete to unlock
in
your
Path of Exile
Ascension
1 at
class.
least.
We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your
Because
character.
they're low level.
Each class
So it
has
doesn't
access to
matter
3
what they do.
Ascendancy classes, but at the start of early access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character. As a sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver.
This
a
is very
master of the
interesting.
elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell. With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze. Not only that,
Oh,
she
that's
has
cool.
many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to
I'm
a
playing
previous
that.
location, resetting her life and mana
I
back to
love
what
time
it was.
mages.
Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral
I
spirits
played
linked to each of your
Chronomancer in
With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body
Tree of
in a
Savior.
protective layer
It was
that
great.
absorbs all damage until it breaks. Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about...
I actually don't really like Ascendancies,
Earthbreaker,
but
every slam is a chance to
as
crush
long
you
as they're
out with
cool,
shock.
you know, that's okay.
With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With Endless Munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile.
This is worrisome.
Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while overwhelming toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery.
Demon bitch.
She can also become a Blood Mage,
Oh!
a master of life and
That's
energy.
cool.
All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental Expression, the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead.
These ascendancies are better than they are in
Children
1,
can
I
exchange
think.
their mastery of spirit for darkness.
At least at a
A
glance.
resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses.
What do you mean, if you're
And
lucky?
with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration,
Just do it.
preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character. So those are the Ascendancy classes.
Yeah,
at the
this is
start
cool.
of Early access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
Is the problem with
Ascension in
ascendancies
Path of Exile 2
is that
requires
they
completion of one of the
hyper-specialize your
great
character,
trials, which you'll find as you
meaning
progress through the
you can
campaign.
only play what the
Each one is
ascendancies
associated
allow
with
you to
one of the
play.
major cultures of Rayclast.
So they have if they're
Located in the
not
Vastarian
general
plains
enough,
of the
they
Marrakech,
ruin the
a
game.
culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Marrakech culture
And
is
in
a
1
second,
they are.
and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimers, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Marrakech must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed in the relic altar to begin the trial.
Of course, there's a fucking trial.
In the Trial of the Sekimers, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the Trial of the Sekimers. After
Okay.
each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed. Which challenges would you like to face, and which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial.
Aww.
For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There
They
are many
added the
different challenges and
roguelike
rewards as you
thing.
journey through
I
the
hated
trial.
that
Deadly
league so
traps,
much.
waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekimer's cloak will
No,
revive
they
you once
they
if you
replaced
die,
labs
giving you a
with
second
the
shot at a run.
whatever it's called. I don't
One of
remember what the
rewards
league
you
is
may
called.
find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Marrakech. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many
Sanctum.
benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations.
Lab is now just
In order
Forbidden
to
Sanctum.
ascend, you
I
will need
hated
to
Forbidden
defeat it.
Sanctum.
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the
But I
end of
don't
the
like
floor.
lab either. No.
We only have a single bronze
I don't
key,
know.
so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimus, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Sekimus is not your kind of playstyle, or
Okay.
you're finding it too difficult,
Fair enough.
you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you. For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Fair enough.
While exploring
I can live
the
with
vile
that.
jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos. Before the Vile embraced
Oliver?
the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vile to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vile must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum.
Ultimatum
Many have
was
attempted these
also
trials in search of
shit.
greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we will be picking shocking turrets.
Awful.
As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
I honestly, I hate most later PvE leagues. I'm not a big fan of any of them. Strong boxes and maybe Tormented Spirits are like the best leagues.
After each room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming.
Because later on, like they started adding so many leagues that are about
There are many
not
types of
playing
chambers
Path of
in
Exile.
Each
And
will
that's
test
what
your
I
resolve
hate.
in different ways.
Because Ultimatum
This
isn't
one
playing
simply
Path of
requires you
Exile.
to survive for a certain amount of time.
It's just doing something else.
Another
And
requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as
like when
elevated
they
monsters
added that
descend to attack
auto
you.
battler mode, like
Should you be able to get through the
just
first
add
3
more
chambers,
items
you will face your
or
first
something.
boss. The order of the
Add new
bosses is random,
ascendancies.
and combined with the tribulations
Like I
you have
don't want to
selected,
play
find
that
them
game.
in the
I'm
field
trying to
setting.
play Path of Exile, not this fucking
After
minigame.
defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course, there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekimus, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class. Now, it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame. So how about we talk about that now? So far, we've only been showing you footage
I hate
from the
it.
campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG
Road League
launches
was
is people
terrible.
saying there isn't enough in-game content.
Because what I want is to
Well,
loot
we want to make
items
sure
on the
that in
ground,
PoE
but
2,
in
people
PoE
don't
1 you
feel that
can't
way.
do that.
And we
Like
actually only
it's always
changed
been
our
that way.
development priority for this recently. The first 3
Like finding a sword that's better, you have to loot like 200 rare swords to have a chance.
On the other hand,
Because
we'll
it's
spend
gonna roll
hundreds of
like
hours in in-game
fire
each week.
damage and it's gonna roll,
We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea.
you know.
Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on in-game and make that.
Or you
great.
go and send off a boat and
For
you
new
get
players, a 25-hour campaign is
25
already a
items
huge
that
game
all
with
have
lots of
T1s.
content.
And they're still
For
bad.
existing action
Like
RPG players, what you
you
mostly
get
care
items
about
that have
is the in-game
61
challenges to overcome.
rolls and they're still
So
bad.
several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, We've added a
But
second
it also
level
makes
called Cruel.
everything
Repeat the
else
campaign with all the
pointless.
monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus. It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame? To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2.
Mark.
Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct in-game
And
content.
Alex
to
are
choose
so
between.
funny.
Each in-game mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
Huh?
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions.
Oh, am I crashing?
Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space.
Visual Studio crashed for
Here,
no reason.
we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent
My mouse
to
is
an area
also
that you have
crashed.
already
I'm
completed.
probably gonna crash in a
Insert the
second now.
waystone,
I don't think I'll start streaming
traverse.
again
Portals will open,
if my
allowing
computer
you and your partner
dies
to travel to
with
the
those screens
area
now
you have selected.
for tonight.
All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face,
I don't know
you
what
might
causes
find
it.
some serious
It's
challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the
it's
area,
like a
you will need to defeat all
precursor
powerful
to a
rare
blue
and
screen,
unique enemies
and I
in
don't know what
Once
the
you
blue
have done
screen
that, the area will be marked as completed
is
and
caused
you will be
by.
able
I
to
have
travel
no
faster
clue.
to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer
My
be
keyboard
run,
doesn't
and you will
work
have
either.
to find another way around to get to the areas behind it.
But the computer
There
still
are also
runs
all
for
kinds
a
of
while.
other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient,
Nope.
corrupting monuments
Tablet's
that
not even
radiate
plugged
the
in.
monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a
No, it's
powerful
not even
temporary
installed.
buff. Some of the buffs make you faster.
I formatted
others
my
rain
computer like
lightning or
yesterday
fire around you,
to
and
fix
some
this,
even
but it
give
didn't
you
fix it.
increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic
Hell yeah.
chests guard piles of treasure, but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open
Please.
them, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them
I
on the fly,
love
so
strong
you can
box.
optimize the content.
But the worst
Be
part about
careful
strong
of
boxes
opening one
was
you can't hit.
always that they were unidentified. Like, they should have just always been identified. There was no reason for them to be unidentified. It was so stupid.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them,
Ultimate
the essence
mana
they drop
flask.
can be used to upgrade normal items to magic
I want
items
that.
with a guaranteed mod from a category. For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod.
Holy shit, 35% increased movement speed? What the
Essences
fuck?
will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod. This is incredibly powerful, since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies
fuck?
that are
She's
commonly
just-
found in Ray
It's just
for modified
smashing
items,
exalteds.
and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop. Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider when crafting your waystones.
Okay,
Some
no, that
maps will have
I
higher
like that.
density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open.
Because in
Make sure
PoE1,
you
both the
explore
prefix
think
and the
about what
suffix
makes
make
certain maps good
the
if
map
you want to maximize
more
your
difficult, I think.
returns. As you cleanse
And it's
corruption
really
from higher
important
and
to
higher
reduce
tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree.
the range
This tree
that a
allows
map
you
can
to
be
reduce the
difficult.
danger and rewards
Because
of all
that's
areas in
where
the endgame.
spike damage is in
Could increase
PoE1,
the
which is a
number of
huge problem.
monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the in-game world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast, and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear
Is
these
this like a
areas of
mix of
hostile
maps and
inhabitants,
Dell?
and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit and invite
Like,
various
it's like
NPCs
infinite
to join
maps.
you there to create your own personal base of operations. A
Or
great
something.
tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This
I
icon
actually might
indicates
just
that
have
the
figured
area
out
has a powerful boss.
something that might
Because
cause my
only
computer
one
to
in
crash.
4 maps contain a map boss,
I'll mess with
we
that
are
more
able to
later.
make them very
Maybe.
powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them. For each different type of
That-
content in the endgame,
that
we are
skill
adding
is just, like,
specialized
explodes
trees
the
in order to
entire
make it so
screen.
You don't
It's
feel the
fucked
need
up.
to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the
7.
only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the in-game systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. In your fight to hold the Breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mods. You can also find Breach Rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach Rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing Breach monsters, you may find Breach Splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a Breach Stone. Using a Vaal technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your Breach Stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of Breach inhabitants.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like in PoE 1.
And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
We that dreamed. We in nightmare. We that are one. Fate realize
Boom, boom.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All of these encounters have specific uniques that
He's
can only
freezable.
be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the Breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the Breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the Twisted Domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed.
Oh, you
There are
died.
many more threats in Rayclast. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists.
I actually kind of liked
If you
Ritual.
encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you
In
know
one.
that the area contains ritual altars.
It was just that it tended
Ritual
to
altars
make
demand tribute.
unkillable mobs
Every monster you
all the
slaughter in
time,
the circle will feed
and
the
whenever that
altar.
happened,
After the sacrifice,
your ritual was just
touch it to
cooked,
begin
and you
the
couldn't
ritual.
do anything with it.
The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic. and
Like, you
must
could
fight
go
to
around
survive.
one-shotting stuff easily, and then you'd start a ritual,
The tribute
and you
have
ended up
offered
with
to the
some
altar
bullshit.
can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived
Most
by the
often
previous
Soul
ones,
Eater
in
stuff.
addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you'll be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for meta crafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover. Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming
Like,
to life.
I don't mind
touch a
most of
mirror,
these.
the
My
mists of
problem with them
delirium
in one
spread
was
out
just that
across
they
the
were
area, infecting your mind. You must
time-based,
stay within the mist to maintain
and
the
Path of
nightmare.
Exile 1 is
Is
so
as profitable
ridiculously
as it is terrifying.
unbalanced that
Everything
if you
kill
don't
will
play a
increase
meta
the
build,
rewards that
you
drop.
can't engage
However,
with
the
almost
deeper into the
any
mist you travel,
mechanic
the
because they're
stronger
all
the monsters
time-based.
are. Be careful not
And
to
you
overstay
can't
your
play the
welcome.
game at a difficulty level you
Rare and
enjoy
unique enemies will become
because they're all more
visitors,
difficult than whatever you're
terrifying
doing.
demons who will
So if
manifest
you're playing
outwardly
at a
to
hard
unleash
difficulty,
powerful attacks on you.
they're
The
undoable.
mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free, attached to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get. Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your endgame maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your endgame maps. The tablets you can find from Deliria can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying.
Omniphobia.
If you can
He's still
complete
alive?
the
We
simulacrum,
killed him like
you will
600
gain
times.
points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts. You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site. Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful,
so much
many remnants
reading.
have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts
Yeah, because
of
it's
interesting
impossible
things
to
buried
tell how
around
hard it's going to
logbooks.
end up.
You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches, but the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the endgame systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill. There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The Trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here. There are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This duel increases the effect of small nodes in radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself. In order to push further into the trial,
The problem with having
you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics.
all these choices for what you can do, like the idea is that if you like this, you can do this, but you don't have to do that. But then they put unique rewards that you can only get here, only there, and you need to get all of them for your character. So it's not actually a choice. Like you actually have to go do everything.
The final boss will reward
Which is kind
you with
of
one of
like,
many unique relics.
I don't know.
These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame.
Just add everything everywhere, just change how much drops.
So you will need to do a completely hitless run.
Like if you're doing Blight, you get more Blight rewards.
Into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random mysterious
They're not
outcomes.
powerful, they're
Corruption
trash.
prevents an item from being modified further, so
I mean,
it
they
has to
might
be
be
the
more
last
useful
step of
now,
the
but
craft.
corruption
But
is
it's also the most
literally the
impactful. For
worst
example,
thing you
if
can do.
Use one on your body armor, it might
in
add
Path of
a
Exile
new
1.
powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass
But-
the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have.
Yeah,
A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods.
But the fact that you don't need sockets for skill gems might make Wall gems like okay, or corrupted might be okay.
Break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Like all endgame content, there is of course a
big
pinnacle
bird.
boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting this city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the
I think I've killed
lieutenants,
Sirius
or to kill the
once.
leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress.
But I
We are
always
trying
play
to
non-meta
spoil it, as we
builds,
can't wait to see you guys attempt
and
it
they
for the
don't
first
work.
time.
So
But is
like
there
you
a treat
literally
get points
cannot
enough to killing it? Of
participate
course
in
there
that
is.
content
This is
at all.
Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge. Way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in.
$30.
To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store.
$60, dude.
We also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with
Fuck
exclusive
off.
microtransactions, points to spend in the store.
I don't
and even
support.
physical
This
items.
is so disgusting. I
The
hate
cosmetics
that they
can be
do this.
used right now in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access
How
starts.
fucking dare you sell a
Most of this footage has been
$480
recorded in
pack?
Path of Exile
Fuck
1,
you.
since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself. There is also a matching back attachment.
If the biggest one was $80 and contained every single other packs, it would still be atrocious.
Armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Vale of Ogham, and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This one doesn't look so vicious though. On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Zweihander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble. Become the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient sand magic. Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the gliding off if you want. The accompanying back attachment equips you with two powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy.
I hate MTX so much, dude.
Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin. Or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a King of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here. It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use, or use decorations from elsewhere in the game. Additionally, you will get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect, the King of the Faradin Kiwi pet, and last but not least, a statue depicting the Vaal Oversoul from Path of Exile 1.
Wow.
For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well.
So if you spend $480, that's actually worth like $800. Wow, the value, dude.
You can find the Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doryani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the only Vaal weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin, and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin. You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vaal did. Thaumaturge of the Vaal supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vaal Kiwi pet, and the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile.
It does look like that, actually, yeah.
But if you don't want one, you can opt out and return for additional points to spend in the store. Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment.
Female Orc Warrior.
Jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war. Overkill, you say? I think the Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you slay to crush them to a pulp? Replace your crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
True.
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces. A true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi. Equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic, they make the perfect sidekick. Once one of the most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of exiles past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By becoming a Warlord of the Kurui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in the series
Oh
is the
my god,
Liberator
it
of
doesn't
Rayclass
end.
supporter pack. The Liberator of Rayclass armor set and back attachment come made with the finest materials and
I wish I
Rayclass,
could check
and
what
Shattered
the
Glass
chat is
Mosaics
saying, but my
suspended in
computer
divine
has
power.
crashed, so I can't do
Set up your
anything.
base of operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout. Why restrict yourself to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose. Decorate each island as you see fit to best represent your well-earned hideout. Everyone in your hideout can use their own boat. Why not have some races? You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it. As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form. Rule in style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to endgame maps, but it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps.
He's got the
Being the liberator,
Skyrim
though, is not
Jarl
just
sitting
about on
animation.
your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High Priest in charge as your second in command. Liberator of Rayclass supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance crossbow skin, the Justice flail skin, and the Redemption shield skin.
Can't see the flail, dude.
Once again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclass's history. The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of
That's
Path of
only
Exile 2's development.
$2 per page.
And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features. For Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order Foil Reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Rayclass supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the Reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the Reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the Reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely. Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose,
Is it really a
you can always start with the
microtransaction
early
when
access
it's
support. It
$480?
just includes a key
Is
and some
micro the
points to
correct
spend in
word?
the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date.
Oh my god.
These supporter packs will be
MTX
available
section
for
is
purchase
almost as
throughout
long
early
as the rest of the
access.
stream.
We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
To the post-show discussion and Q&A. I hope you all enjoyed what you've seen so far. It's been pretty exciting for us here as well, as you guys
It's
have
lagged.
been inspired already just watching things. And you're already cooking a new ascendancy class.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got to do design whenever you can.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
Absolutely.
dubbed. They're all
There's
dubbed.
been a few fun moments here already, but I'm your host, Ziggy D, and I'm joined by Jonathan and Mark to talk about everything you've seen. Honestly, it's so much.
I mean, we were really keen to make sure that when we went into early access that people didn't feel like it was just, limping along and kind of, just like a minimal amount of content. We really wanted to kind of blow people away. So hopefully people feel like, there is enough content. Because, it was certainly a mission to get all that stuff in.
Yeah, I did come here expecting that there would be, maybe a basic mapping, placeholder end game, and your 3 acts and, the half the classes. But you've made a decision here clearly that's got the core PoE player community in mind.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we have to make sure, look, Path of Exile's endgame is kind of known for the fact that you get to choose between different types of content, and that, like, you know, some people enjoy one thing, some people enjoy another, and I feel like that choice is like a huge part of what makes it good. So if we didn't have that when we entered endgame, then I don't think that would be, you know, like that wouldn't be a Path of Exile endgame.
I don't have a choice.
Kind of what we
I have to do all of it.
So we kind of said, okay, well, like, what is the minimum number of like different in-game things you need to be able to have in order to be able to actually have a viable in-game that you feel like you get different choices, and that's how we ended up with what we have here.
I definitely feel like a lot of games nowadays release, you know, and their campaigns intact and real good. You get to the end game and it just falls real flat.
Yeah.
And it was certainly a very important moment for us when we were like, hold on, that's the wrong thing to do. Like, let's not make the same mistake as everyone else. Let's pivot. And we actually did that, and like, it made a world of difference and made the game all of a sudden, you know, 100 times bigger with an infinite amount more content, right?
It was definitely hard though, because like, okay, like, it's like we're you know, we're progressing. It's like we would have made it. We would have gotten, you know, all these acts in if we hadn't have changed direction. It's like to actually say, you know what, we're going to specifically not finish this content that we'll be working on, you know, that we you know, it's like pens down, everyone, we're stopping work on this, we're going to move over to endgame because it's actually more important. Like, that was certainly a hard one.
That would have been
I think that's correct.
There,
that's true.
Well, I mean, it's like suddenly
it's a lot more important that people can keep playing the game, otherwise they're just going to drop it, go play something else.
We're doing something else now, so
saving clothes, yeah.
Especially for a lot of the developers, because you got to also think, like, a lot of our developers have just been working on this campaign for, what is it now, 6 years.
Like, I think it's even longer, actually.
Yeah, it's like just this epic journey, whereas none of them, you know, a lot of these people haven't been working on Path of Exile 1 this whole time, where, so some of us are like, you know, we're just churning out endgame with every league and doing all of that, but for a lot of these people, a lot of these developers, yeah, it was quite jarring to swap over, but everyone embraced it. You know, we talked about it, everyone was happy about it and stoked about it, and it just ended up coming out real awesome. So
I think it's landed well, and it definitely kind of blew me away when you. So even before I saw anything, we were in the car on the drive here, and you were just info dumping all of the end game. You're like, oh, we got this feature, we got this feature. I'm getting dopamine just from hearing about it. I haven't even seen anything yet. But do you guys feel like you're competing against yourselves a little bit here? Because Path of Exile's kind of set the bar. The original game has set the bar for what is available to endgame in a game like this, and it makes it's not acceptable really to launch with just nothing in terms of endgame now.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, like, if you're not competing with yourself, then I don't think you're going to make good progress, right? So that's what you really have to do.
Yeah, but cracking that out for beta even.
Yep,
is,
absolutely.
Pretty
Well,
exciting.
as I said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that. And I think it's important that our existing Path of Exile 1 community feels like they're also served. Like, yeah, sure, we're doing all this stuff for new players, and that's really important, and that'll expand the audience. But, you know, if we launched and all the PoE 1 players are unhappy, that wouldn't be good. So, you know, we have to make sure that they also feel like, you know, they've got a game for both them and for all the new players we hope to bring to the genre.
And you definitely want all those different axes as well. Like, just having two, right? You'll get a lot of content can be immediately divisive, right? Obviously, that's the nature of it. That's how it goes, right? And so you have all of these different avenues because there are different players who like different types of content. So if you're just like, here's your one end game system, well, immediately then there is a portion of players who are just like, I don't want this, right? And so having all of these options is like ultra key, and that is what Path of Exile 1 has taught us. And again, it's like, I'd say lessons learned, you know, for the genre, and it is expanding in other games and stuff, but yeah, certainly, as you said, competing with ourselves, yes, PoE 1 has like, you know, 40 axes, you know, and we've got 7 really good ones here, and obviously more to come. But 7 is a lot, mind you.
Especially when it's all like, you know, like people have to learn a lot of things again. It's going to be very interesting.
I think at this point, Path of Exile 1 should have like 6 ascendancies per class or something. Because they focus too much on making like elaborate gameplay leagues, and most of them are just worse than playing Path of Exile. Most of them.
Maybe end of day 1, people just be like, oh yeah, easy, no problem, mate. You know, could be what it's like.
We have a few people that are doing that sort of thing.
The good leagues were leagues that were like
in 24 hours or something.
Kind of like they added new acts. And I don't mean when they added.
But I imagine there'll be a little bit of a soft
like
reset.
Act 6 to 10.
A relearning period.
I mean, like.
And I mean, PoE 2 is
synthesis.
changed a lot
or something,
years,
where
so more than 5 years of development
it's
now.
less about some
What was that
elaborate
initial
minigame,
pitch
side
when
game,
PoE2
and
was
more
first
about
put
like
forward?
just
It's
we
like,
have new
most of what it's
unique
gonna
special
be is
maps that
much
work in a
smaller
special
scope
way with
originally.
special
Yeah,
bosses,
so when
and
we
then you go
started,
and do
it
that.
wasn't even a
You
sequel.
know,
It was just we're just updating the character rigs.
and you're just playing Path of
over
Exile.
time, it
It's just in
crept
a
into like a proper
within
sequel. The
new
thing that we were
context,
saying is
right?
whenever we were talking about it, and I guess this is the main thing.
But I hate
so we're like, okay,
all the leagues that
when
are
we
about
make an
not
area
playing Path of Exile.
here, it needs to be that there's like a theme for it. It feels unique from everything else. We're not going to just like have recycled stuff like within the campaign that just feels like, oh, you know, we just took this area and
Which
modified
is
it
like
slightly.
half of
Each
them.
one's got to have its own stuff. It's got to have monsters that were like carefully thought about,
Unfortunately.
that like, you know, fit in with the world, and it's got to have bosses that are actually like good tier quality. You know, and every area is going to have one. So those decisions have kind of been things that have meant that they really raised the quality bar to a level that took us way longer than we even really expected. Like those things there, just like it's huge, right? Like honestly, I feel like we underestimated significantly what it would take to deliver that level of quality.
I remember really early on, a battle I fought for, and I mean like way back, was like, if you think back to, say, Diablo 2, which obviously still holds a lot of, you know, power in terms of design motivations and philosophy and stuff within the company, you get things
Unfortunately.
like certain uniques, and PoE1 did them, and it's just like, here's a boss with 1 or 2 skills. And I remember very, very, very early on in PoE2, I'm like, I want every single boss to be memorable and a thing. I don't want a unique monster that's just like dies in 2 seconds and uses heavy strike and has a fancy name. And I remember,
every single map boss in PoE1 is meaningless.
I love the bosses. My favorite part of everything, and so I was just like,
They're all weaker than rares.
This is just terrible. But of course, that decision, me pushing for that, me wanting that, turned into this megalithic.
What have you done?
Now we have 50, aiming to be 100. Honestly, probably later, several more 100 once all the end games, everything start to evolve and more expansions comes out. And I'm like, yep, we maybe just made, 100 times more work for ourselves, but 100% bloody worthwhile, because I'd say those bosses are one of the main, attraction pieces of the game. And anyone who plays it is just like, holy crap, those boss fights are amazing. So like, obviously some are bad and some are good to different people and all that. That's how it all goes. That's part of all the fun. But it is true that me pushing for that thing literally created thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, worthwhile work, but it is again that exact thing of like, the scope was kind of small on numerous axes, and as we just raised the quality bar to what we thought
I'll be honest,
good,
5 years ago,
it certainly went
Path of
from,
Exile 2 looked like shit.
What was it initially?
It did
just
not look
resetting
like
some
it
character
was
classes
worth
and new rigs or whatever,
on
into this,
like
mega
even doing
scale
it.
entire campaign.
But now it looks
Yeah,
like it's completely worth it.
But
Full standalone separate game. Yeah.
fun other anecdote, since we went out of that territory. It was originally
The whole Path of Exile 2 is going to be inside Path of Exile 1 was so stupid.
I've never been a fan of these codename my things like that. Codename my things like that.
It was this like, there were times way back in the original Office, there was all this like, sometimes there'll be a feature you can't really do in PoE1, and it was always like, we'll do it in Project Chimera. That was like amongst the developers, and people were like, what the heck is that? Now, ironically, there is a boss in Act 3 called, well, it's got a different name, but it's called the Chimera internally. It is a Chimera. It's a multi-headed beast, and you've seen it in a few of the marketing, things here and here, different trailers, little snippets of it. And I think it's just ironic that was actually the first boss asset made. Before everything, the first monster, because back in when we used to just make random monsters and we'll find out how to use them. And that was made for that game. It was used in the original PoE2 trailer, right? It is the only incomplete, technically, but only from a balance standpoint, or it was the last boss to finish in the entire Path of Exile 2 campaign right now.
It sounds like there was like some sort of emotional demon that you had to battle there, of like the legacy of the original idea, and you had to finish it.
We had a moment with the monster game
I
design.
wonder if I'll stop the stream here.
Oh my God, it's
I
happening.
need to hard reboot my computer. But I'm really tired of sitting. I've been sitting for like
celebrate this boss finally being done. It was like at the origin.
12
and
hours
now
today,
it's
so.
at this, point where we're about to deploy early
yeah.
access.
Thanks for
not to say
hanging.
the
I'll
end,
try
the
to
end is
stream more programming tomorrow
Yeah, it's still the beginning of it.
if my computer allows me.
But on that note of celebrating, like, how do you guys feel having now kind of, for the first time, I feel really like laid bare kind of everything you have. You're putting it out there, and
Still
maybe 2
broken.
weeks away from
Keyboard
everyone
actually
playing.
works
Well, it's
right
always
now.
scary, you know, coming into a release, and I think especially for, you know, there's like a bunch of people on the
Okay,
PS2
it
team who have, you know, who,
it
like,
just
they have
stopped
this is
working?
their first game that they're going to
Okay.
be releasing, and that experience is something
Because
that,
it's
you
not
know,
actually
like,
the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah,
It's
like
it's
tough.
Explorer
Honestly, I
that
think
has
that,
crashed, so
even we were feeling a little
it
bit cocky
gets hung up.
actually about the fact because, you know,
And there
when
we
we
go.
release content,
blue screen.
felt like we knew what
No?
what it took to get a game released. But honestly, like PoE 2 was just a whole entirely different demon.